Colby Covington went from one of the most elite welterweight fighters of all time to being crowned one of the best fighters to ever win a championship, to this, to being one of the most washed fighters on the roster. I mean, a lot of people calling Colby Covington washed, and I can't say I disagree, because Colby Covington got absolutely dominated from Joaquin Buckley. We'll also talk Imavov versus Adesanya getting announced, as well as Jones Aspinall now confirmed. Welcome to JackMMA News. UFC Saudi Arabia got announced, and we have massive fights here. This is going to be a fight night, keep in mind. The main event, Israel Adesanya versus Nasruddin Imavov, and the co-main event being MVP versus Sharabulik. Now, a lot of people found this shocking, but we reported on this about a month ago, right? Around the time of UFC 309, we talked about this potentially being the main and co-main event, which just shows why you should hit the subscribe button and watch every video. But starting with the main event, I mean, Israel Adesanya obviously is in a little bit of a weird situation, being that contender again after a long time, being a reigning defending champion. Him fighting Nasruddin Imavov is huge. I actually think Adesanya could potentially beat Imavov. I think he has a big chance. I think he's probably going to be a favorite. I haven't been super impressed with what Imavov has done as of late, but I think Imavov, if he mixes in the wrestling and also the striking, it's definitely going to be an interesting fight. We also have MVP versus Sharabulik, and this is just a striking fight. Like, this is a fun fight. We talked about this, MVP moving up to 185 pounds. Yeah, it's a big risk, especially against a guy like Sharabulik, who is a good striker. But I think what's also going to be interesting is how these guys interact with Adesanya, because, you know, a lot of people have talked about Sharabulik versus Adesanya, even MVP versus Israel Adesanya. Those are two big fights that could happen at some point, but this fight is just absolutely insane. I don't have a prediction for this fight. I'm kind of leaning towards Sharabulik, honestly. Yeah, Riyadh is just saving the UFC fight nights right now. Tom Aspinall did an interview with Piers Morgan where he talked about the potential Jon Jones fight coming up. Tom gave a little bit of insight about the meeting he had with Dana White after UFC 309. We saw the video, we heard the meeting went well, but apparently he's saying that Dana White said the fight is definitively going to happen.
I had a meeting with Dana, and he literally walked into the room and said, "It's happening." And I said, "Well, he's going to want loads of money." And he said, "I know, but it's happening."
Dana White in the post-fight press conference for UFC Tampa also seemingly confirmed Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall is definitively happening. Later today at 4 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to rank the top 10 fights I want to see next year. And you guys could ask me any questions during the live chat or leave it in the comment section below and I'll answer them live. But here's what Dana White had to say about the Jon Jones-Tom Aspinall fight.
Would you guarantee 100% we see that fight?
Yeah, I'll say 100%.
Dana White continued at that UFC Tampa post-fight press conference and hinted at something big happening in the UFC next year.
I got something in the works right now. I'll drive you fuckers crazy. All you guys will be running around. I got something in the works that you will never fucking see coming for 2025 that literally started to come together last night.
Conor McGregor also released some of his training footage of him training jiu-jitsu ahead of his potential return. I mean, we've been talking about his return for years now. K-Super actually responded saying how this was white belt move, so we'll see if Conor McGregor ever really returns. Mokaev also made his return after being released by the UFC and finished his opponent in round 1, but it'll be interesting to see if the UFC actually goes back on their word and actually signs him again like a lot of people want them to. Demetrious Johnson was also training with Team Khabib ahead of UFC 311. We could see Islam Makhachev there, Umar Nurmagomedov. Michael Johnson brutally knocked out Adman Azatar. After the knockout, Michael Chandler posted on Twitter saying, "Best right hook in UFC history. Never forget this one. Hashtag UFC Tampa." But it's a video of Dustn Poirier being put out cold by Michael Johnson. Dustn Poirier replied saying, "Remember when I beat your ass? You're 2-4 in the UFC, Muscle Mike." Now, anytime I criticize Dustn Poirier, I get tons of shit in the comment section, get slammed with dislikes, but I gotta disagree with Dustn here because he was not beating Michael Chandler's ass. Like, the first round was pretty competitive. Yes, obviously Dustn did wind up dropping Chandler, but this second round was all Chandler, and it looked like that maybe Chandler was actually going to get that win. It was a pretty competitive fight. But to defend Dustn Poirier at the same time, it's a bit corny for Michael Chandler to be kind of celebrating and flexing someone else's win when you were literally in a fight with Dustn and could not beat him. Manel Kape also called out Alexander Pantoja after his win. Manel, after finishing his opponent, went on the microphone calling himself the most entertaining fighter in the UFC right now and saying he is ready for a rematch with Alexander Pantoja. Now it's possible, but I will say that Kai Kara-France, I feel like, is also up there in the conversation. However, Dana White did confirm later on during the post-fight press conference Manel Kape is not getting a title shot.
Title shot at flyweight, you think?
No, he's not getting a title shot.
But finally, I want to talk about the main event. Colby Covington, is he washed? Because that was definitely the worst performance of Colby Covington's career. We have never seen anyone dominate Colby like Joaquin Buckley did. Colby Covington walked out with Hulk Hogan and Chael Sonnen on his side. It looked like maybe he would get this victory. Chael Sonnen was even cornering Colby Covington. And we start round 1, and immediately when Colby shoots for that takedown, we see Joaquin Buckley defend it, and we see a big cut open up on Colby Covington's face. Now, I do honestly think, judging from Colby's reaction, judging to how fast this happened? I think this was a cut sustained during training. This opened up way too quickly, was already too deep. It's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. It didn't look like an elbow really landed or anything to open up the cut. It really just seemed like Joaquin grazed it. I'm not taking away anything from Joaquin, but it's just the truth. And Colby's fighting, and then all of a sudden we hear chants of Colby suck taking place in the arena. And Colby does get a takedown, and Colby is able to control Joaquin for a little bit, but Joaquin gets up, and this was an entertaining round because Colby did take some shots, but overall was not throwing much. It really seemed like maybe Colby was just trying to survive for the later rounds. I wasn't really sure. And then in the third round, we see Colby Covington get stopped because of that nasty cut. It was a super deep cut. It was the right decision. This sucks for Joaquin because it does take away a little bit from his victory, right? The fact that he didn't get that big knockout that it was kind of looking like it was leading towards. Joaquin Buckley also called out Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman, and Bilal Muhammad, saying that he thought the crowd wanted to see Usman the most. Personally, I wouldn't mind that Leon Edwards matchup, seeing that Leon Edwards is looking for an opponent in March, and this would make a lot of sense, especially with how active Joaquin has been trying to be. Now, in Colby's defense, yes, he did take this fight on rather short notice, shorter notice than Joaquin did, and if this was because of a cut Colby got in training, this does add a little bit of a new layer to this whole thing. But Colby Covington just looked terrible, and now it's been back-to-back horrible performances. I mean, Leon Edwards, he performed horribly, and in this fight, he performed even worse because, yeah, Joaquin Buckley battered him across the octagon, bloodying him up. I mean, Colby looked like a mess after the fight. And there was a time where we all thought Colby Covington could become the welterweight champion. We said if Usman wasn't the champ, Colby would be. But the truth is, look, Colby is getting up there in age, now 36 years old. He's not going to be as fast as he was at one point. He's not going to be as reactive. He looks like he still has his chin. The truth is, Colby has spent a lot of these prime years he has had, you know, sitting on the sidelines waiting for title shots instead of building up his legacy, instead of getting more experience and becoming better. And my question is, could this be the end for Colby Covington? Do we see him just get fed to new contenders until he is cut from the UFC? Because that looks like that could very well be his fate. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys think this is the end for Colby Covington? You guys are the best fan base to MMA. Hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next one.